Hi, we're out on the range today, so please bear with gunfire you hear in the background. Today is part 2 of a 3-part series on low light shooting. Now that low light, Wilberforce, not low life. Low light shooting has many applications for the military, for the police, for hunting. Not always poaching, there are animals you legitimately hunt at night, and for personal protection, and we'll concentrate on the latter. In part 1 we talked about some techniques, and today we'll talk about some gadgets, primarily illuminated sights, laser sights, and flashlights. Let's start with flashlights. There's lots of different types of flashlights out there, but they basically come in 2 categories: firearms mounted flashlights and handheld flashlights. Let me show you a couple of handheld flashlights. Now this one's a pretty decent one, and it's fairly bright. You can't really see it during the day, but we'll see it at night. And it's a good flashlight, but it's got 2 major downsides. 1, it's a little big for everyday carry, and 2, the activator button is on the top. When you get it in your hand, you got to make sure it's rotated correctly so you can turn it on. Now here's a different flashlight that's a lot smaller, and it's a lot brighter, and it's a lot easier to carry, but it's also a lot more expensive, and it still has the activator button on the top. If you can, you really want to get a flashlight with an activator button on the back. Now, this flashlight is a $3 flashlight, and it has 2 big advantages. 1, it's a $3 flashlight, and 2, the activator button is on the back. And it isn't really good at long distances, but for fairly close, it gives sufficient light. And there's a lot more expensive versions of this, and you should really get the best one that you can get. Now the debate comes up, well, what about a handheld versus a firearms mounted flashlight? For concealed carry, I would tell you that you should have a firearms mounted flashlight in addition to a handheld, not instead of. Let me give you an example. If all you have is a firearms mounted flashlight, and at 4 in the morning you come out of your house on the way to work and you see something over there and you don't know what it is, halt. What have you done? You've now tried to illuminate this, but you've also pointed a loaded pistol at it. And when you discover it's the paper boy, you have unduly endangered the child by pointing a loaded firearm at him. And in the state that I live in, you committed the crime of pointing a firearm at another person. With a handheld flashlight, you can keep your pistol in some place that's unobtrusive. Hey, what's going on over there? And then when it's the paper boy, it's not a problem. And if it is something for which you need a gun, you know it does not take very long to do this. Now let me show you this stance. What you've got is your shooting hand straight, your support arm bent, and see how my shoulder rotates forward? And then you'll turn your light on and illuminate the target, and you'll see your sights silhouetted against the target. And this wrist-to-wrist pushing creates isometric force, which will hold your pistol steady and absorb a lot of recoil. Perfect? No, but it works, and we'll put it to the test when it gets a little darker. Now here's a firearms mounted flashlight, and they can have some real advantages and some real disadvantages compared to a handheld. Among the advantages are, 1, it's mounted to your firearm, so it's not like you're going to forget it and leave it in your other jacket or leave it at home like you might with a handheld. 2, because it's mounted to your firearm and most of them have an activator button that can be reached with your trigger finger, means you can shoot it with one hand if you need to. And because most of them will have some kind of activator where you can activate it with your support hand, means you can still maintain your normal stance instead of having to modify it like with a handheld. There are some real disadvantages to a firearms mounted flashlight. 1 we already covered, you have to point your pistol at anything you want to illuminate. And another one is that not all firearms have a rail system so you can mount a flashlight to them. And a real big disadvantage of these is cost. Now again, this is a $3 flashlight. The most expensive flashlight I showed you was a $25 flashlight. I paid $179 for this firearms mounted flashlight, and it was among the cheapest ones available at the store where I bought it. But the real question is, will it allow you to hit the target more efficiently than using the 2-handed handheld flashlight technique? Well, when it gets a little darker, we'll put that to the test. Now one other gun I want to show you is this Car Arms PM40. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. This is not an endorsement of Car Arms. I have not had good luck with them. But this particular one has worked out pretty well for me. And the significance of it today is that it's equipped with these tritium illuminated night sights. Now what they are is the rear sight has a green dot on either side, and the front sight has a green dot on it, so you can line your sights up in the dark. Problem with that is because in the dark all you see is the 3 green dots, you can get them out of alignment and you still see 3 green dots. If you're going to put sights like this on a pistol, I'd really recommend you get the ones where the rear sight has the green dots and the front sight has the red dot. This type of sight can have some real advantages. First, there's no battery to go dead. Second, when you're using these sights and you're sighting in on target, you're not casting any light for that target to see you. But in terms of actually hitting a target in the dark, how do these night sights compare with flashlights? Well, when it gets dark, we'll put that to the test too. One other night shooting gadget I want to cover is laser sights. Lots of different ones out there. There's even some that are in a pistol grip, so you can take the grips off your gun and fit them with laser pistol grips. That can be a real plus. But the one I'm going to use today is the integral laser sight that comes in this Smith & Wesson Bodyguard. And it has an activator button. You just press the button to turn the laser on and then press it again to turn it off. And there's another activator button on the other side, so if you're lefty you can still use it. Personally, what I've found with laser sights is that they are of no advantage during the day. When I'm trying to shoot at a distance, especially if the target has some texture to it, that dot can be very difficult to see. But at night, the dot can be seen a lot more easily, and at night when I can't see my sights, the laser might be a real advantage. How much of one? Well, we'll put that to the test in a few minutes. Well, it's dark enough to get started. First we'll do the handheld flashlight technique, so I'm not going to use the flashlight that's mounted to this pistol. I'll start with the flashlight up, turn the flashlight on as I bring the pistol up, and then shoot a 2-shot drill. And we'll do 3 of those for a total of 6 shots, and we'll shoot at 7 yards. So how'd we do? Well, my group's a little to the left, although not a bad group, but with 1 flyer. Now let's paste up these shot holes and try this again with the Firearms mounted flashlight and see if we can do any better. Now we'll use the same gun, but we'll use the Firearms mounted flashlight. And again, we'll do 3 2-shot drills from 7 yards. So how'd we do? Well, the group's a little more centered, but it isn't really any tighter. So let's paste up these shot holes and try something else. Now we've got our Car PM40 with the Tritium Sights. Let's see how we can do with these. So how'd we do? Well, the first thing you'll notice is that I shot 6 shots, but there's 7 holes in the target. That's because one of these in the center knocked out a pasty that was already there. So as much as I'd love to claim that 3-shot group, there was only 2. But altogether, not too bad. Although these Tritium sights allow you to get really good sight alignment, they do require there's enough ambient light that you can see the target enough to put that sight alignment on the target for good sight picture. Now, we'll put a new repair center up, and then we'll try the laser sight and see how that compares. The last gun we'll shoot tonight is this Smith & Wesson Bodyguard with a laser sight. Now, the way this laser works is when you press the button, it turns it on. Press it a second time, and it changes it to a pulsating laser. Press it a third time, and it goes off. So it takes me a second to turn the thing off between presentations. Let's see how we do. So how'd we do? Well, frankly, not that well. Although I like the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard as a pistol, I do not like the laser sight that comes with it. It took me a long time to get the thing turned on, and even longer to get it turned off after I fired. And it certainly did not allow me to shoot any better group than just the tritium illuminated sights did. But the real thing when you're talking about the illuminated sights or the laser sights as compared to flashlights, the flashlights really aid you in target identification. And that's something we'll talk about in part 3. So until then, don't try this at home. I'm what you call a professional, and thanks for watching the Night Shoot video.